Hello and welcome to Reportage. I am Danish bin Nabi. My today's topic is about the happenings in India, and to discuss about these happenings, I have with me senior journalist Prem Shankar Jha. Mr. Jha, your name has appeared in the hacking list. How do you respond to these things?
I am a little disturbed, I must admit, because I have been an independent journalist. I have done a lot of investigative work, but always with a high sense of responsibility, and always bearing in mind the best interests of both the Indian government as well as of the people about whom I'm writing. And I've always tried to be fair. If that is not good enough for this government, or if that itself is a threat to this government, then there is nothing I can do. The fact is that since the Modi government came to power, there is not one tiny element of the entire policy structure, the democratic structure, the constitutional structure, which was created in 70 years before that by 15 previous governments, that they have not actually attacked. And therefore, inevitably, all my articles, and they've been made mainly in The Wire, almost 200 articles in the last 6 years, have been critical of this. I think that if that is sufficient to get me on this list, well, I am only doing my duty. And I am, in a sense, it's strange because I think that this is almost a tribute to my effectiveness. But it's a tribute I would much rather not have.
Mr. Jha, Government of India has refused these claims and said that they uphold the free speech. Do you believe that Government of India has nothing to do with this snooping?
Oh, there's no question at all in my mind that the Government of India has got everything to do with it, but has actually commissioned NCO, this Israeli organization, to launch Pegasus on selected targets. I believe every word of this investigation. There are something like, 40
journalists
organizations which have worked on this. They have worked for a long time on this, and this is not the only time that we have had this. You remember earlier this year, I think March or April, I think it was Frontline exposed that there had been systematic hacking of the computers of the Bhima Koregaon accused, and that items had been planted in their computers, which they had no knowledge of. Then these items were recovered by the government in order to put them in jail. They've been languishing in jail for as much as almost 3 years, certainly, going more than 3 years now. And even the fact that there is this devastating, indictment has not enabled lawyers to get a fresh investigation and a fresh survey by the High Court of Maharashtra as well as the Supreme Court of their imprisonment. They're under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which is targeting individuals under the new dispensation, under the Modi 2019 dispensation, which was unheard of before. It was not intended that way. The UAPA was intended to be targeting only organizations, but they have targeted individuals. And then after that, when that decisive prima facie, I admit prima facie, evidence comes out that this was completely, that this is a frame up. They not only refuse to give bail, they refuse to organize, to even reopen the investigations.
Mr. Jha, let's come to another topic. That's the media in the present day. Why do you think that media is even afraid of reporting simple day-to-day facts or reports? Simple reporting is, even there is absolutely no reporting being done by the media presently now, apart from few. There are few exceptions, but if you look at the media, by and large, they are not reporting what they used to do.
Danish, I want to make a slight distinction between reporting and investigating. Well, reporting has been stopped by the government. From the day that the Modi government came to power, the first thing they did in the secretariat here in Delhi was they stopped, they ended the validity of the PIB card of special correspondence, the accreditation card, which allowed them to go in and talk to officers without being either recorded or having to write their names down or anything of that kind. The second thing is they put in CCTV cameras and things, and 2 years or 3 years later, they added one more thing. They said that you cannot enter even these ministries, therefore the 4 key ministries, without the officer you want to meet. First of all, you have to sign in. Secondly, the officer who has agreed to meet you has to come to the front desk, reception office, and pick you up and take you back, and everything in the full glare of CCTV cameras. Now, who is going to talk to a reporter under these circumstances? 90% of our news develops out of the statements or indications or hints by people in government that there's more than one way of looking at a problem and that perhaps other ways are better. Even if you have information from outside, you do need some verification. Good reporters always look for verification. So therefore, they will go to a government source. If you can't do that, then that's finished. What this has done actually is to increase the amount of investigative reporting that's going on. And that is what's doing damage. It is indirect information, but is being collected in a way that has never happened before. This is, in a sense, the maturing of Indian journalism to levels of I would say, responsibility and courage that we have never seen before in India.
Mr. Jha, why isn't the present political dispensation allowing any dissent? Why are they
The present political dispensation is essentially the dispensation of the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and a very small group of people who are concentrated in the Prime Minister's office. He worked like this in Gujarat. He is trying to rule India in the same way. The ministries exist. Their ministers are appointed. The ministers have almost no autonomy whatever. About a month after Modi came to power, or rather after Mr. Amit Shah became the president of the BJP, he announced that there would be monthly meetings of ministers with cells in the BJP outside the government, BJP presumably also RSS, therefore naturally, to discuss, to oversee the government's functioning. In fact, there was no overseeing. This was a complete blockage of initiatives not approved of by the RSS or by people who are not elected by the government, but by the country, by the people who have no reason, no standing or whatever. That was the first thing that was done at that time. So the ministries don't function. They send their recommendations to the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister's office decides what will be acted upon and what will not be acted upon, or what will be turned to their advantage and when. So there is no question now of initiatives in the government. If you look at the terrible disaster with the second wave of COVID, you will find that the ministries sent all the right information to the Prime Minister's office, and no action was taken. For 8 months after promising 150 oxygen plants for district hospitals, even tenders were not issued. That was because the ministries never got an okay from the PMO. I can think of no other reason. Now, I'm speculating on this, I'll be very frank with you, but why else would they not even issue tenders?
Mr. Jha, and what role has social media played in all this, in helping the present political dispensation, in disallowing the dissent?
Well, just let me complete one thing that you
please go ahead.
You asked before.
Yes.
I explained to you then that why reporters are no longer able to do their reporting job.
Yes.
Second thing is when they investigate as reporters of of major newspapers, they come up against their own employers who face the most terrible pressures from the government and threats. Now, I do not wish to speculate on these. I have had experience of this in a mild way in my own career, and I have paid a price which I don't wish to discuss now. But the point is that if something like that could happen in a democratic setup of, say, Narasimha Rao or a Vajpayee or a Manmohan Singh, it is happening 100 times more today. Very simply, not merely reporters, but basically TV anchors and TV channels are under relentless pressure to show only one side. And this got to the of the story, and that's the government side. And the result of that is that they have lost all credibility, which is why investigative reporting and the YouTube type of TV channels have now gained huge credibility and collectively have become a very powerful force in for the safeguarding of democracy.
And what about the social media? What role it has played in all of this?
The social media have played a role that is both constructive and also not constructive, because unfortunately, and this is not because of individuals in the media, social media, it is because by and large we have no way of knowing exactly what is the background of the person putting a piece of news up. So when there's a critical item against the government, it is claimed to be fake news. When there is a highly critical or item against the opposition or a member of the opposition, like Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi or anyone else for that matter, it is then seen as a piece of fake news. It's rather, there is a whole industry inside the BJP, a media control industry, which goes out and says this is all fake news. So it creates enough doubt in the public's mind to vitiate the impact. But what is happening now is that the social media also is coming together. There's a far greater proportion of a convergence in the criticism, particularly over COVID, and to a lesser extent over the economy, migrant workers, and so on, that which is coming in the social media, which is compensating for the anonymity, if you like, of the sources.
Mr. Jha, let's come to Kashmir now. Do you think Prime Minister Narendra Modi can create history by resolving Kashmir and be a statesman then and politician?
Prime Minister Modi has had only one goal, which is to completely crush any attempt to establish Kashmiri autonomy. Now, I say autonomy very deliberately because he has targeted the political parties that have by fighting elections under the Election Commission's mandate, shown by action and often at the threat of their lives and through and assassinations like that of Abdul Ghani Lone or Maulvi Farooq, that they are prepared to work within the Indian Union. Now, he does not distinguish between these and what one might call genuine militants or terrorists, or whatever you like to call them. If you don't do that, then what you're doing really is to crush dissent completely. And the conversion of Kashmir into a union territory is the clearest indication that they intend to rule Kashmir from Delhi, which is complete violation of the Constitution. It's a violation not only of Article 370, but remember, there are 10 other articles, 370 onwards, A, B, C, D, up to about I think 9 other articles, which give similar autonomy status, varying degrees, to 9 other states, mainly in Northeast India. And the Modi government doesn't even know what the impact of this has been upon the Northeast. And there is, because we don't have reporting, adverse reporting, either in the television or or in the general printed media, except in a few honorable exceptions, papers like the Indian Express, the Telegraph, and the Hindu. We don't get any idea what's happening there. So when something blows up in the government's face or in the Indian state's face, and a disintegrative threat really emerges, it will not necessarily be in Kashmir, which they're controlling with an iron hand, but in places they didn't even suspect.
Mr. Jha, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has publicly said that he needs no advice as far as Kashmir is concerned.
Well, has he taken any advice on any issue? Did he take advice on demonetization? And remember the mess he made of that? The complete joke he made of it, and the destruction of migrant workers' jobs, construction industry, everything was knocked out. Then the playing around with data, the refusal to release data on the impact on employment, impact on GDP, all the data. Arvind Subramanian wrote a paper when he went back to Harvard, and has shown that the data on growth since 2016 onwards has been systematically inflated in various ways. Now, so he can play these games, but he can't deliver genuine growth by doing any of these. And he has done exactly the same thing in Kashmir. What he has done today, to me, is extremely dangerous. There is a genuine separatist and violent element in Kashmir. It has always been, because of the constant interaction between the central government and Hurriyat over the previous, from about 1994 onwards. This had come down to a minuscule amount. And if you look at the Chatham House survey of 2009 and 2010, as few as 2.5% of the people who responded to that survey, which is a very detailed survey with a large base, said that they were in favor of Pakistan. So you have a situation where this state has been, its autonomy in every sense has been crushed, and it is being made a slave state.
Kashmir is being made a slave state, right?
That is the result of what is being done.
What is the way forward?
The way forward is actually for the government to realize that there is no way in which you can control totally through coercive police or military action any part of any country in the world. Nowhere in this has this ever succeeded. Even in older days, I mean, pre-telegraph, pre-telephone, information technology. But now it is just about impossible. So the fact is that there are no winners in this kind of a war against one's people. There are only losers. And the way to go about it is to actually restart discussions. I believe, sorry, Danish, there was an interruption. So what I was saying was that this complete suppression also means that you lose sight of who and what militants who can attack you. And if you rely only upon electronic espionage to find them, they stop using those electronic instruments. Then you don't even know. The 1857 Indian All India Revolution or revolt against the British was not aided by IT. It happened by the passing of chapatis. So I think that this is a dangerous road to go down. The only way is to give Kashmir the same autonomy, full autonomy that is promised to the Article 370 and which has been given to 9 other states.
Mr. Jha,
including incidentally Gujarat.
Mr. Jha, let's end this meet on this point. Give Kashmir the full autonomy. Thank you very much, Mr. Jha, for talking to me. Thank you. Please subscribe to our channel Reportage and press the bell icon to remain updated.